Since the launch of Diablo 4, Bloodlance has been known to be one of the weakest spells in the game by just about everybody out there, until some secret tech was found. But that secret tech was crashing the servers, so Blizzard had to step in and make some severe changes. Now we're here in the first season, and Bloodlance is once again considered a meme. That is, until you leave it into the hands of a pro player. And we're going to show you exactly how he made it work right now. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, the full build for this will be in the description below over on Mobilytics, which has the best builds for Diablo 4 on the market. So if you want a full written quick cut of the build, head on over to the link and go ahead and copy that thing. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are in game right now. We're going to be quickly going through the gear, the aspects, stat priority, Paragon Board, everything you're going to need to get this build up and running, rocking and rolling, so you can play it the best you possibly can. Remember, we have timestamps below. We also have the link to the Mobilytics link as well if you want a quick written version of this guide. So you can go ahead and choose whatever you want. Let's kick it off right now. Heading into our first option is our headpiece. Now listen, when it comes to your headpiece, your chest, your legs, your amulet, you are going to want to have some sort of defensive stats on there, whether it be damage reduction from close, damage reduction from distant, damage reduction flat, health, things like that to give you a decent amount of survivability, because if you do not have that, you are going to get killed very quickly in the end game when it comes to pushing nightmare dungeons. So that's definitely something you're going to want to look out for. For example, here we have consuming a corpse, which has a chance to spawn a blood orb. And for this build, blood orbs are massive. For example, we have total armor here, some lucky hit chance, which is very important for this build as well, which we'll dive into. We have ranks to decripify as well, all things to help us immensely in battle. Moving on now to our chest piece, which is the Blood Artisan's Cuirass. This is one of those mandatory uniques for this build that are just so strong, because the more blood orbs we pick up, the more bone spirits we're going to shoot out with this, and we're spawning a ton of them. It brings us total armor, blood orb healing, damage after we pick up a blood orb, ranks to bone spirit, all really strong things. Moving on to our gloves, this is where we could be a little bit more offensive. He has a pretty darn close to perfect roll on his gloves. He has attack speed, critical strike chance, lucky hit chance, all very good things. He was looking for that blood lance, obviously, but he couldn't get to it. He also has the title legendary aspect on there, where Blood Wave fires 2 additional waves, dealing 57% less damage than the previous. Blood Wave is going to deal a decent amount of damage and then spawn, once again, a ton of blood orbs to increase our overall battle effectiveness by a ton. Moving on after that, we are going to our pants. Obviously, we're rocking Disobedience. It's one of the strongest defensive legendary aspects in the game. We got total armor, damage reduction from distant, dodge chance, damage reduction. A very, very powerful set of legs that anyone would want with any build, to be honest. The only other item you would have over Disobedience would be the Temerity unique legs. This allows you to, when you heal past 100% of your maximum life, you actually gain that as a barrier instead. And with this build, you are doing a lot of healing, whether it being through potions, fortifying yourself, collecting your blood orbs, all of that, you actually get tons of it, so you can have barrier up constantly. So combining that with your fortify, it is very, very powerful, and it has priority over the Disobedient pants. After that, we're rocking Wind Striker's boots. Critical strikes gain 16% movement speed for 1 second. We got movement speed on here, ranks to bone spirit, S's cost reduction, all very generally strong things for your boots. Also, the Penitent Greaves aren't bad either to apply that crowd control to multiple enemies. Next up, we have our weapon, the Gore Quills. This is one of the big reasons why we need so many blood orbs, obviously for healing, but to also dish out more damage for our Blood Lances. Blood Lance will also consume blood orbs, dealing 44% of the normal damage and prioritizing targeted unlanced enemies. All this is generally strong. You want critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, damage to distance, stats like that. Remember, we do have the stat priorities for every single armor piece or weapon in the game, so if you want, go ahead and check out that Mobilytics link. Moving on, we have our offhand, and it's going to be the Hungry Blood aspect. Each cast of Blood Lance will launch an additional Blood Lance at a nearby enemy. When it first hits an enemy that is already lanced, dealing 42% of normal damage. Once again, this is going to be mandatory for this build. Critical strike chance, lucky hit chance is huge for this, as well as a chance to generate primary resource, which isn't bad also. Moving on now to our jewelry, as well as Malignant Hearts for Season 1. Starting off with our jewelry, we have the Potent Blood legendary aspect. While at full life, blood orbs grant 11 essence. Very good for allowing us to just keep on spamming, since we don't have a basic skill to sort of fill in anything. Very, very strong to just allow us to spam those blood lances. On your rings, you definitely want lucky hit chance, critical strike damage, and critical strike chance. You want those 3. There's a very, very powerful for this build overall. And the max health also helps for, you know, survivability and defenses as well. And then for our Malignant Heart, the first slot we're going to want is the one we have on screen here. For 15% of the incoming damage is instead suppressed, which honestly, this is an S tier Malignant Heart and everyone can use it. It just gives you a flat, big damage reduction on your ring. It is super, super strong. And then you could also explode it for a decent amount of damage. Activate one of your other skills. Overall, it's a very, very strong Malignant Heart. Almost every build in the game uses it. Definitely recommend checking this one out. Moving on now, we have the Fast Blood Loop, which blood orbs reduce your ultimate cooldowns. This allows us to spam those blood waves over and over again when we pair it with our Decrypify. Once again, we have lucky hit chance, critical strike chance, critical strike damage. I mean, those are the big 3 that we're looking for. On top of we have vulnerable damage. Overall, very strong. And we also have the critical strike damage heart. 76% bonus damage to our critical strike damage, but non-crits deal 40% damage. This is going to give us a major, major boost to our burst windows when it comes to using blood lances. And last but not least, we have our Amulet of Grasping Veins. Gain 23% critical strike chance for 6 seconds when you cast Corpse Tendrils, and you deal 45% bonus critical strike damage to enemies damaged by Corpse Tendrils. This is a very big burst window now with our Corpse Tendrils. Not only is it going to drag all of them in, it's going to stun them, it's going to CC them, it's going to apply vulnerability, and now it's going to amplify our critical strike chance and critical strike damage. Very, very mandatory. Super strong overall. Once again, we're looking for damage reduction, some sort of cooldown reduction. And by the way, since Necromancer is very immobile, movement speed isn't bad to pick up on there either. And then finally, for our heart, we have walking near a corpse automatically activates an equipped corpse skill every second, which is pretty much mandatory for every single Necromancer build in Season 1. It is way too powerful to pass up on. Super, super strong overall. Okay, now we're also at the Mobilix link showing you what's on the Book of the Dead. We are going to be sacrificing the Skirmishers for our Skeletal Warriors for the 5% critical strike chance. We're going to be sacrificing the Skeletal Cold Mages for the 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And then we're also going to be sacrificing the Iron Golem for the big critical strike damage. Don't forget, all this information is laid out quick and clean on that Mobilix link. Do not forget to go check it out. Moving on now to our skill tree. We're going to move through this fairly quickly so I don't waste too much of your time. The first 2 points, we're just dumping into anything because we actually aren't using a basic skill. We're going to go 5 out of 5 into Blood Lance and move into Supernatural Blood Lance. After casting Blood Lance 6 times, your next cast is guaranteed to overpower. Generally, very good for just getting that overpower big damage Blood Lance out there. We're going to put 1 point into Unliving and then 3 out of 3 into Imperfectly Balanced for the core skill damage as well. After that, we're definitely taking Hewed Flesh for the chance to generate corpses at the target's location, so we can automatically cast them and use corpses, generate essence, and just really play off of our corpses to just keep on spamming Blood Lances over and over again. After that, we're taking 1 point into Blood Mist, and then we're also going to go with Blood Mist leaves behind a corpse every second as well. We do not need 5 out of 5 into Blood Mist because we're getting the cooldown reduced so quickly with Decrypify, and we would be losing a lot of damage if we're going to be staying inside of Blood Mist like permanently. That's more of an Infinimus build sort of situation, so 1 out of 5 for Blood Mist is just fine. We're going to go 1 point into Corpse Explosion and Plague Corpse Explosion, where it deals more damage to slowed, stunned, or vulnerable enemies. We're going to go 3 out of 3 Grim Harvest, as well as 3 out of 3 Fueled by Death, 9% increased damage for 6 seconds after consuming a corpse. Moving on now, obviously, we're going to be taking Decrypify. It is absolutely mandatory, super strong, lucky hit, 15% chance to reduce your active cooldowns by 1 second. This is huge when you're inside groups of enemies. You drop down that Decrypify, spamming those Blood Lances and those Blood Waves, and all your cooldowns are coming up in a matter of a couple seconds. It is super strong. While they're cursed, we're also taking Amplified Damage for the 12% damage increase, and 1 point into Death's Reach because we do have the extra point later down the line. We're going to be taking 1 point into Gruesome Mending, and then we're also going to be taking 3 points into Coalesce Blood. While healthy, your blood skills deal 18% increased damage. Very big major damage boost there. We're going to go 1 point into Corpse Tendrils and move into the vulnerability on Corpse Tendrils with Plague Corpse Tendrils. So now Corpse Tendrils amplifies our critical strike chance, critical strike damage. It brings them into a tight little area, vulnerable, stunned, absolutely amazing to have. Now, since we grabbed that unique on our chest piece, we are going to be grabbing Bone Spirit as well as Dreadful Bone Spirit for the essence generation as well. And then lastly, we are going to be taking Blood Wave, of course, for those big damage windows. And then it's also going to be spawning 3 blood orbs as it travels as well. We're going to be taking Expiring Leader for the 12% attack speed while we're healthy for 4 seconds. Stand Alone, obviously, since we don't have any minions. And then Memento Mori for the sacrifice bonuses as well. And then finally, for our Keystone passive, we're going to be taking the Rathma's Vigor. Increase your maximum life by 10%. After being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill overpowers. So we have multiple ways of overpowering our blood skills, dealing really good damage and have a lot of damage reduction from our passives, as well as Decrypify. We have great CC with our Corpse Tendrils and Big Burst with Bone Spirit, combined with Blood Wave, as well as 5 out of 5 into Blood Lance. Overall, we are doing very, very good DPS. Now listen, is it the most insane damage ever? No, it's not, but damn almighty, it is a solid build with Blood Lance. Hats off to DJ Montague, man. This guy is kicking ass with this build, pushing 20 to 25 to 30 Nightmare Dungeons, kicking ass. And it just goes to show that you do not have to play the meta build in this game. He's proven it every single day over on his stream. Go ahead and check it out. The link will be in the description below. Moving on to the Paragon board now. Let's get it rocking and rolling. We're going to move up on our starter board right here. Go to the right, grab the damage increase as well as max health. And we're going to put on Blood Drinker for the Blood Orbs fortify you for 6.7% of your maximum life. Very strong to just have because we're constantly picking up Blood Orbs from how much we're generating over and over. It's also going to increase our damage, our healing, our defensive, all of that. So it's all very good stuff. We're going to take both of these rare nodes with a couple of the magic nodes nearby and move on to our first board, and that's going to be Blood Begets Blood. We're going to rotate it like this, and we're going to move up, grab these rare and magic nodes right here, Invigorated, and we're going to move up and grab the Blood Begets Blood legendary node as well, which Blood Orbs grant 5% increased damage, stacking up to 15%. Once again, more damage from Blood Orbs, more survivability, all is good there. Directly to the left, we're going to grab the Imbiber Rare Glyph. I'm not sure if that's how it's pronounced. For every 5 willpower, we get 2.6% increased damage while we're healthy. And then we also gain 30% increased potion healing for some decent survivability as well. We're going to get the heck off this board as soon as we can. And we're going to move on to the Flesh Eater board. For the Consuming 5 Corpses grants 40% increased damage for 6 seconds. By how many corpses we're spamming, we could pretty much have this sucker up 24/7 as long as we're killing and generating enough corpses. We're going to make sure we go down the left here, grab the Stifle critical strike damage and damage to injured enemy nodes as well as magic nodes. And then we're going to move to our glyph slot right into the middle. And it's going to be the Essence slot. Critical strikes deal 22% increased damage to enemies that are not healthy. And then for every 5 dexterity purchased, 2% increased critical strike damage as well. Overall, very, very strong stuff based off how many times we're critting. We're going to move on down after the Flesh Eater board and go into the Scent of Death board, which is with at least 2 corpses nearby, you gain 15% damage reduction. And with no corpses, you gain 15% damage increase. Overall, we're going to be either having damage reduction or damage increase. Overall, very, very good stuff. We're going to grab the Corrective critical strike damage node here. We're going to move on over to the left and grab the Sacrificial node, where we're going to have 10% increased damage while we have no active minions, and then buffing our magic nodes nearby as well. And then for our last board, we are going to have Bone Graft, but we aren't going to be taking it. We're going to be looking for that rare glyph node Exploit. Obviously, Exploit is going to increase the amount of damage we deal to vulnerable enemies, stacking up to 10%, I believe it is for the Necromancer. And then we're going to be grabbing a couple of these rare nodes, Shaper of the Bone, as well as Reinvigorate for the maximum essence. Overall, guys, this build is very, very solid. Here is the literal cookie cutter A to Z formula on how to make this build. Big shout out to DJ Montague. Let's get into some gameplay footage and break this sucker down. Increase. Overall, we're going to be either having damage reduction or damage increase. Overall, very, very good stuff. We're going to grab the Corrective critical strike damage node here. We're going to move on over to the left and grab the Sacrificial node, where we're going to have 10% increased damage while we have no active minions, and then buffing our magic nodes nearby as well. And then for our last board, we are going to have Bone Graft. We're going to be looking for that rare glyph node Exploit. Obviously, Exploit is going to increase the amount of damage we deal to vulnerable enemies, stacking up to 10%, I believe it is for the Necromancer. And then we're going to be grabbing a couple of these rare nodes, Shaper of the Bone, as well as Reinvigorate for the maximum essence. Overall, guys, this build is very, very solid. Here is the literal cookie cutter A to Z formula on how to make this build. Big shout out to DJ Montague. Let's get into some gameplay footage and break this sucker down. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are in game right now with DJ Montague's Bloodlands build, dude. This build is absolutely kick-ass. If you want to get away from the meta, try something new and fun and different. That's engaging, it's super cool, and it's just fun to play, man. The rotation for this is very simple. Obviously, when you're in a hard nightmare dungeon situation, make sure you pop that potion, get the XP buff, damage buff, whatever it may be, and the rotation is very straightforward. You're going to want to engage at range with your Blood Wave ability on a big group of enemies, start priming them for those Blood Lances, decripify on them, Corpse Tendril to get them all together, and then spam that Blood Lance over and over, and then all of them will just start exploding, man. It really helps having that Malignant Heart that automatically captures the corpse explosions as well as tendrils as well. Anyways, we are here right now. Let's go over some gameplay footage and just review how he does it. By the way, this is gameplay footage from a plus 25 level difference. As you can see on the bottom, he's level 90. On the top, he's level 115, which isn't exactly a walk in the park for anyone at this sort of range. He gets them all primed up, corpse tendrils, and he just bursts them down, dude. Cast those blood waves, stacking up all that damage, and working on it. He did say that the single target in this build is a little bit iffy, but the AoE damage is insane, as we're seeing on the screen right now. So much damage coming out from that Blood Lance. That freaking Bone Spirit right there was a 2 million Bone Spirit. Oh my god. And that's a free cast from his chest piece. All the enemies in the room just get melted by all that AoE with the blood waves, corpse explosions, gets them all grouped up, completely destroying that objective. Still 25 levels higher than him, and just annihilating through these mobs. His health is topped off, and he's fortified the whole time. Super, super fun build. Now, this is, I believe, like around a plus 17 range here. And there's just endless spiders and elites coming through that little corridor. And they can't even reach them. They're constantly knocked back from the blood wave. They're constantly pulled back from the corpse explosion as well as corpse tendril combos. Cooldowns are coming up constantly because of decripify. That is what I'm talking about. He's immune when he needs to. He has the defensive capabilities. Bone spirits. Get him out of my way, dude. Super, super strong stuff. Tons of mobs here with a lot of max health increase as well. Corpse tendril him. He's building up a lot of lances. And there's the explosions, dude. Insane damage. Wiping the floor with all these guys. Look at that beautiful freaking corpse tendril. Getting them all grouped up for that nice blood lance combo. Once again, just corpse tendril again. Get them all grouped up. Man, Necromancer is so strong in Season 1. One of the top 3 classes in Season 1 for sure. And then here we have our boss fight. Now, he does deal some pretty good damage here. I'm not going to lie. I, of course, and we all have seen much better damage when it comes to the raw single target department. But overall, it's still good. It's still playable and usable. It's definitely optimal to be able to use in pushing some sort of nightmare dungeons. I mean, this is a tier 17 and he's killing the boss in around 20 to 25 seconds. So it's definitely very doable here, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, shout out to DJ Montague once again, man. Super fun making a build video on this. I've been talking about making this build with this guy for like a month now, and I'm so happy he made the build, sent it all over to me. Thank you so much. Shout out to DJ Montague. His channel's in the link in the description below. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Till the very end, my name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Pretty good damage here, I'm not gonna lie. I, of course, and we all have seen much better damage when it comes to the raw single target department, but overall, it's still good. It's still playable and usable. It's definitely optimal to be able to use in pushing some sort of nightmare dungeons. I mean, this is a tier 17 and he's killing the boss in around 20 to 25 seconds. So it's definitely very doable here, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, shout out to DJ Montague once again, man. Super fun making a build video on this. I've been talking about making this build with this guy for like a month now, and I'm so happy he made the build, sent it all over to me. Thank you so much. Shout out to DJ Montague. His channel's in the link in the description below. I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be making content for you all. Till the very end, my name's Sky from the Comeback Kids. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.